Hey, everybody. It's me, Linda Pearson, with the San Antonio Life Stuff Show. Brenda and Linda coming to you live on Facebook this week. Brenda's not here, but I am here. And we are trying to do this live, so hopefully this is working for us. And if you send in comments, I'll be able to comment back as well. So we are normally with you every Tuesday from 12 to 1. GenX 99.1 is the radio station on location. We've actually taken a couple of weeks off this past during the holidays, but we're back today, and we'll actually be live going forward until we're back into the studio. So what we want to tell you about today is our guest today is me. We kind of had a last minute change. So Brenda and I were going to be in the studio, and we were going to talk about Kid Illustrated because we got something coming up there. And so we had a last minute change. So now we're here in the big box, which I'll explain to you in a little bit. So, but before we get started, I do want to thank our normal show sponsors, which is the Center of Advanced Wellness, who's located at 8723 Botts Lane. That's actually one of their locations. They have a location in Stone Oak. They have a location that they're building over at Fredericksburg and I-10. And then they have another one in the Dallas area. And so at the Center of Advanced Wellness, if you don't have medical insurance, and then you sign up for an individual, for a single person, it's $30 a month. And then every time you need to go to the doctor, it's $10, which is a fantastic deal. We're talking flu shots, checkups, antibiotics, just regular women's health. I mean, it's quite a bit of stuff. And then there's also a beauty spa as well. So what we like to say is it covers all of your health and beauty needs all in one place. So check it out. That's also where our radio station is as well. So we appreciate them because they keep us going. And so we can be here in the box today. So and I'm looking at my agenda, so in case you're wondering what I'm doing there. So, but before we get started, I do have to give you some disclaimers. Since I'm in the big box, which is in the middle of my living room, I have asked my family to try to be quiet, but you may hear a door slam. You may hear people talking. The dog Kiwi may come in and decide to interrupt this whole process or whine or whatever. So I'm just going to do my best to ignore all that. And hopefully that won't be too disruptive. So the big box, why am I in the big box, and what is this big box? For some of you who've seen the Scooby van, a lot of people have asked me, why does your license plate say big box? Why doesn't it say Scooby-Doo or whatever? The reason it says big box is because my actual business name, corporation, is called Big Box Innovation. As an innovator, I've got a lot of things that I've created, programs that I've created. For those of you who know me, there's a lot. And so the big box was actually a business plan that I was working on for creativity with kids. And then COVID hit. So it's kind of hard to have people over to my house to work on these workshops and videos and things like that. So I turned the big box into, it's my meditation space. The kids love to come in here and hang out. Sometimes there's sleepovers. Kids would sleep in here. So pretty much it's just a wonderful place to be. It's 8 feet by 8 feet wide. It's pretty big. And then it's almost about 6 feet high. So I can expect maybe 5'7", because we've got a drop ceiling up there. So I can actually stand up in it. It's kind of like a tiny house. I guess you could kind of live in it as well. So for those of you who are interested in the box thing, I had been working recently on that brand. So if you check out on social media, Boxicology, that's BoxicoloGist. Sorry, Boxicologist. That's what I am. I'm a boxicologist, because why not? But anyway, out there on YouTube, I'll have some videos, a whole series of videos about the big box, because there are actually a lot of benefits for this type of a situation for people who are stressed. It actually is a lot cheaper than being in a float tank, and it's very decompressing. I actually had, during COVID, I had a mom asked me if her 2 sons, high school kids, could come over because they had a serious issue at home that was going on. And then one of the boys was very anxious, and he came here and I could just see how anxious he was. And he spent the whole day in the box doing his online school. And when he left that afternoon, he had a big smile on his face. He's like, oh my God, thank you. That's exactly what I needed. And so he came the next day. So he spent 2 days in the box doing school, and he was a lot less stressed, and he was more decompressed. So it's really a cool thing. So check that out sometime. It's at Boxicologist is the social media, and you'll learn more about that. So with that being said, if anybody joins us later on in the video and says, what the heck is that? And who is she? Why is she in a box? Hopefully you'll go back and watch this. So I'm Linda Pearson, for those of you who know me, and I'm the founder of the Scooby Van of San Antonio. But I wear some other hats. So one of the other things that I have done, which is what we want to talk about today, is I've invented a children book series called Kid Illustrated. And it's books that are illustrated by kids. As an advocate for children and creativity and community, it kind of ties in, as you'll see, it all ties in together. Kid Illustrated books, the sales support the Scooby Van supports the community, and the books are all about helping the kids stay creative. And we'll talk about how we can get these books into the kids' hands through our Groovy reading program. So it's just all tied up and wrapped up really nice. Everything supports everything, and so I'm really excited about that. So, but when we're not doing that, when I'm not doing Kid Illustrated or in the box doing the Boxicologist brand, or on the radio show or in the Scooby Van, Brenda and I are managing partners of Life Stuff Co. And with that, we have the radio show and we have some upcoming magazines. And it's really all about focusing on people who are making a positive difference in San Antonio. And so we really like to get out there and just when we learn about somebody who's doing something wonderful, we just want to get them on the show. We want to put them in the magazine. I know a lot of people I've talked to about putting things in the magazine. That's coming up. I've got to send everybody emails saying, give me all your stuff, because we're hoping to launch them at the first magazine, probably, hopefully before the 1st of March, which is ambitious. So we'll see. So really our goal with all of that is just nothing but good news. We want to share all the positive news of all the wonderful things that people are doing in San Antonio, because there's a lot of people doing a lot of wonderful things. And so we're just excited to share all that with you. So, well, the good news about being live on Facebook is I don't have to take a commercial break. So, yay. So real quick, last month, for those of you who've been following along, we had a really groovy thing happen. So last month we launched the first of our 2 Groovy Giving libraries. And that started off the week before the holidays. That started off with Bexar County at the courthouses. The Bexar County employees held a book drive. And so they all, and visitors to the courthouses, donated 1,300 books in 1 week. So thank you to all those book donors, because we could not have done that without you. Some of the jurors were there. They brought books too, because they were going to be there all week. So they brought books and donated books. And with those books, we set up 2 Groovy Giving libraries. With the help, of course, of Judge Cynthia Chapa. She has given us the space in the Elizondo Tower, which for us lay people, I say, is the new courthouse. On the 4th floor, suite 405 is where this is located, and that is open to the public. And then the other one, Judge Monique Diaz commandeered the space for us to have a Groovy Giving library in the children's court. And then that one is not open to the public. That one is for the kids who CPS bring them there. The kids are there. It's a wonderful, creative, fun environment. They're not required to go into the courtroom and face the parents or their accusers. If the judge needs to talk to them, the judge comes out and talks to them in this wonderful environment. And they get to leave with books and toys. And they've always been able to leave with books and toys. But adding this Groovy Giving library there basically gives them more books. And another thing we are doing as well, the Scooby Van has, 900 of these books and dolls. This is the Angel Guardian. And this is a book written by Chris and Michelle Miller. They're authors in Austin, and they had generously donated their entire lot of books and dolls. And so we're going to give 500 of these to the children's court so that they can give these to the kids. But also what's really exciting about it, Barbara Schaefer is the running the court there, the children's court. And she was excited about this book because it's really about the guardian angel, and it's talking about the bedtime routine and taking the kids through the bedtime routine and also looking after you. But she thought that was great because one of the things they have to do when they go visit the homes is to talk to the kids. Instead of saying, well, has anybody undressed you? Has anybody touched you? That's a little bit forward. They can just read the book to them, and it talks about the bedtime routine. No, who gives you a bath? That type of thing. So I could go on about that for hours. But anyway, so they'll have 500 of these books to give to kids, plus to use as tools. All of the social workers can use these as tools as they go into the home. So we're really excited about that. So that's where the 2 Groovy Giving libraries are. Again, the one is on the old courthouse on the 3rd floor at the children's court, and that's specifically dedicated to those kids who are coming through because the families have cases with CPS. And then the other one is in the Elizondo Tower on the 4th floor, Suite 405. Just go in there. And if you check out our social media, either the Scooby Van or the radio show or Life Stuff Co., you'll see a lot of videos about where it is, what it looks like, and there was some news coverage there as well. So they did all the news stations did a great job of explaining that. And so, there was a ribbon cutting. So we did the book drive the week of the 12th, 13th through the 17th, and then that Friday, the 17th, is when we actually had a ribbon cutting. And so this was our first opportunity to do something like that. So we had a press conference downstairs, and so that was kind of really exciting. And so we had, Judge Cynthia Chapa with us because she's in Suite 405. We had Judge Monique Diaz, who helped us with the children's court. And then we also had Judge Stephanie Boyd join us, and she's an advocate for literacy. She does a lot for the community with literacy. And then we also had Lucy Adame Clark, who's our Bexar County clerk there. So if I forgot anybody, my apologies. But those were the the honorable people that we had there, our special guests. We did a ribbon cutting, and is now open to the public. So, and the cool thing about the Groovy Giving Library is that if somebody wants to have one, if an organization wants a Groovy Giving Library, they have to be able to sustain that. And so the courthouse, they're going to put year-round book donation boxes in the, let's see if I get this right, one by Suite 405, one on the 3rd floor by the libraries, one in the, I believe, the parking garage where all the employees get out of their car, which is a great location because if you can remember to bring the books, you get out of the car, you just drop them in the box. You don't have to drag them all the way to the courthouse. And then one by the central jury room, which is great because if everybody shows up Monday for jury duty, those people who get selected, they've got to be there all week. And so if they see the box and they have books at home, they can bring those as well. So the idea is that the Groovy Giving Library is self-sustaining. So the employees and the visitors of the courthouse will donate books. Those books will go into the Groovy Giving Library. And then when kids are there, and people say, well, why are kids at the courthouse? There are a lot of kids at the courthouse. Right now, there's a lot being done virtually. But when they're back, and they've not really ever shut down, it all went to virtual. But when they do start having more in-person type things, there are a lot of kids that have to come to the courthouse with the families. And so those kids can get free books. The parents can take them there, and the parents can get free books as well. My joke was I'd love for the judges to order them if they were working on a checklist of things they had to do to get their kids back. I said, order them to go to the Groovy Giving Library and get a book and read it to their kids. So that was the plan. That's my plan. So we'll see how that goes. But the resource is there. So we have English, Spanish books, books for adults, and we'll be adding more to that as we go. But it's a great start. So check that out. So that was last week. And so what's happening now is this coming Sunday at the Twig bookshop. It's going to be cold, unfortunately, but I'll be there. And the Twig will be selling my kid illustrated books, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. And I'll be outside signing copies if people want to buy those and have me sign them, autograph them. So I'll be there. And then also the Scooby van will be right in front of the Twig bookstore, and we're going to have a book drive. And so if you're going to the Pearl Historic District, stop by the Twig, bring those used children's books. They don't have to be new. You can bring used books and drop those off for us. And then, of course, the Scooby van will work on getting those out to the community. And then another thing we're asking as well is if maybe you don't have kids, but you want to figure out a way to help. So buy the book and then turn around and donate to the Scooby van, and we'll keep those aside. And then those kid illustrated books, we will donate, we will give to kids as rewards for our Groovy Readers program that we have. So kids read 10 books, then they get a kid illustrated book. So we got to figure out how to make that happen specifically, but that's the goal. We have to have the reward books to begin with. So if you want to donate those, that would be fantastic. So it is going to be cold Sunday, excuse me, at the Twig, unless the weather perks up. So I'm going to be dressed warm. So please dress warm. We hope we can see you out there. That would be a wonderful thing. So that's kind of what's going on in our world. So let me tell you a little bit about Kid Illustrated. So as an innovative, creative person that can't shut the faucet off, I think it started back when I was a little kid, and I was always wanting to create something. And of course, there's not a lot of resources. So I had to be very, very innovative to try to figure out a way to get things done. And so I wanted to color a picture or draw a picture, and we had no paper. So I found an old coloring book laying around. So I opened it up, and so I started drawing my picture on top of the picture that was in the book. And I was just ignoring the picture that was underneath because I really needed to draw whatever I was drawing. And I remember my mom coming in and looking at that, and she says, well, don't you want to color inside the lines? And I was like, no, why would I want to do that? So it's kind of the story of my life, right? People are coloring in the lines, and I'm not anywhere near that, except I am inside the box. So people always say, get out of the box. I'm always getting in the box. But so as a child, so I think I created it because I wanted kids to have something that I really would have loved to have that I didn't have. And so the idea is kid illustrated books, quite simply, are books illustrated by kids. So the kid illustrates the book, they get to draw their picture on the cover, and it becomes a great keepsake for mom and dad. So that's cool. And I'm going to take you through these and tell you the different age limits and stuff like that. So, and as you can see, there's just blank pages, right? So, and then we give each kid, in most of the books, there's a section in towards the end where after they finish illustrating, or there's a section for them to write and illustrate their own story if they want. They could actually start there if they want. They don't have to illustrate the book first. And so the other thing that's important is in the back of the book, there's a letter to parents. And the reason that's in every book is because the one thing, being a creative person, for those of you who are creative, you know, it's like, it seems like the world just wants to squash it out of you. And so my whole life I've had to fight just to stay who I am and stay creative, right? And so what I have is tips for parents on how not to squash all that, because it just takes one thing to say to a kid to really just take the wind out of the sails, douse the fire out. So one thing is that they don't have to start at the beginning and move to the end. Why did you start at the beginning and draw the first picture first? That's not how creativity works. When then they get inspired, they open it up, and then whatever it is they want to draw, they draw. The other thing is don't ever say to a kid who owns a kid illustrated book, don't ever say, well, how come you're not finishing that? Or how come you're not drawing in that anymore? Okay, creativity is what it is. It bubbles up when it bubbles up. So to try to force it is actually not creativity. That's not going to help anything. So it may take them 2 years to finish the book. They may never finish the book. They may say, the heck with this, I'm going to write my own book, right? So instead of the kids having to staple a bunch of papers together and draw their own little book, and that's nice. This is actually a published book. And then they get to write their name on the cover as the illustrator. And then they get to draw the cover. And I'm the one that wrote the little story, which I'll tell you a little bit about that. So, and then again, they're very affordable, but it's just what I like about it is you hand this, and I've taken this into the schools, and the kids respond really positively to it. It gets them off of the phone. It gets them back to being kids. It gives them a timeout. They don't have to think about what's going on in the world or worry about stuff. They're just engrossed in what they're doing, and they're drawing and coloring. And I loved it at the schools. We did a horse in my house. And the girl came up to me afterwards and she says, well, I'm going to write a better book. There's a unicorn in my house. And I was like, well, good for you, right? So that's why I gave them the space at the back, because a lot of times kids will get their own ideas and be inspired, and they might want to write their own book. But if they were like me and there's no paper or no pencils, how are you going to do that? So it's all contained in here. I know that may sound silly to say kids don't have paper. Yeah, kids don't have paper sometimes. They don't have books at home to read. So if nothing else, even if they don't like to read, I've got this thing, what I call 360 literacy, which kind of approaches literacy from all the different angles. So maybe they don't like to read, and we saw this in the schools, but the minute they get to start drawing, now they're interested in what the book is saying. And then well, what else is in here? And now we get them interested in the reading. So you kind of get them in that way. And for those literacy reading people, you're probably thinking, yeah, we've been doing that for years. But to me, it makes sense. I'm not a literacy expert, but to me, that just makes sense. So, so what we have, for those of you who may want to go online and purchase or be there on Sunday at the Twig. So hopefully I get this right. So these books, and these are all based on true stories, by the way, or real life things. So, and I have literally, my challenge is, like, I get inspired a lot of times is I think like Dr. Seuss. I'm just, the stuff's just rolling out of my head. And so I capture it. And so I have hundreds of these little goofy poems. So they're all based on something. So let's see, Turtle Trees is like for the youngest ones. It's a real cute little story about this crazy mixed up town. So as soon as a kid can pick up a crayon or a pencil and mom and dad is reading it to them and they can understand what they're hearing. Of course, this particular book was actually the first one. And so I kind of, bear with me here, sorry. Some of the pages go this way and then some of the pages go this way. And so it gets them out of the mode for a minute, just anything different to break up that normalcy thing. Here's one page that goes up and then here's another page that goes sideways. Sorry, everything's backwards and upside down. So that's Turtle Trees. It's for the littlest ones. Mom and Dad could read it. Ted the Toad actually has some of my, quite a few of, it's a poem collect. This is actually, there's Ted. It's a collection of poems that I had written and stories. And so some of these I put, this one's called Blue-Footed Booby. So I don't know that little kids can draw a blue-footed booby. Ants in your pants in Paris, France. So there's that. And so they can just add to that photo. So this particular one, Ted the Toad, does have a few little pictures in there. But they can put whatever they want on the cover because there's quite a few little goofy poems in there. And when I say goofy, I do mean goofy. So, and then what we have also, this one's called Jello Bed. The kids at the school love this. It's called Jello Bed because the first line is, what would you do if your bed was made out of Jello? And where that comes from is, I remember when my kids were little and we did the family bed thing. And instead of going to sleep, they would ask questions. They didn't want to go to sleep, so they'd ask questions because they knew that I would answer their questions, which of course sometimes is a challenge, but I always answer the questions because they're just curious. And so they would say, well, Mom, what would happen if the whole wide world was made up of Rice Krispie treats? And so, of course, I just make stuff up as it comes out of my mouth. I said, well, that'd be cool because you get up in the morning and if you're hungry, you don't even have to wait till you get to the kitchen. You just take a bite out of the wall, right? And they start laughing. Ha, 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 ha. And I said, well, we're in Texas, though. So if your car is made out of Rice Krispie treats, by the time you drive to the school, the car is probably going to be all mushy. And then when you get to school, if you're hungry, you just take a bite out of the desk, and whatever. And so we went through probably a month or so of this. What if the whole wide world was made out of whatever, whatever, whatever? And so this is kind of that concept. So what if not the whole wide world was made out of Jello, but what if your bed was made out of Jello? Imagine how that'd be, right? So that's Jello Bed. And then holiday here is around, that's about, I want to say, what age did I say? 5 or 6. These are a little bit, well, not that much complicated. I think 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade would love this. That's about the ideal age, but anybody can draw on this. Even older kids, adults, art students, especially when we get to things like Dog Do Dilemma, which is a whole big, long, caper, funny, hilarious story. Anybody who's studying art or drawing could use that book as well. So holiday hair, dyeing your hair a different color for the holidays. And then there's a horse in my house. That's a cute one. The kids at school love that. And then we get to the books for the older kids. So where this comes from is, I'm sorry, the dog has stepped on my books and left dirty footprints on my books. So there was a time, your kids get to a certain age and they don't want to do their chores. Maybe that's all the time, but 4th, 5th, 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade, they start getting to be a little bit, older. And so what happened is that, my son, he was too busy wanting to play basketball, so he didn't want to feed the dog. And so hence the story about forgot to feed the dog. So this is a story about a kid who forgot to feed the dog all week and what happens at the end of the week because he doesn't do his chores. But it's funny because I tell my kids, because I know how I am. And so when I get frustrated with them, I'll just look at them and I'll say, don't make me write a poem. Because I'll write a poem about it and you'll end up being in a book. And they just laugh. The Dog Do Dilemma, I love this one. The Dog Do Dilemma. This is actually kind of a long story. And I don't have room in the back for the kids to draw a story because this is kind of a complex, hilarious caper. Based on a true story. This was when I was watering the lawn and I was in a bad mood because I don't like to water the lawn. And I look around there and I see these dog poop blotches going up my driveway. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I probably tracked it into the house. So I followed the trail of dog poo and it turns out the Scooby van ran it over. So I said, okay, but I still had to wash it off and it was kind of yucky. And then I remember the guy who was walking his dog and I know it was his dog that pooped and he didn't clean it up. So I was in the middle of writing all these poems at the time. So I started writing the Dog Do Dilemma. And it just got, in my world, it just got better and better. So it's this hilarious caper. I mean, it involves the FBI, it involves the CIA, it involves the president, it involves the mayor of the town and the dog and the Mustards, Mr. Mustard, and a bunch of other folks. So this isn't a hilarious book. I actually took this to Career Day with a bunch of 8th graders. They wanted me to talk about what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And so I said, well, this is what it's like. So we're going to do this play. Y'all are going to act this out. You don't know what's coming. You have no idea what the story's about. You're just going to fake it till you make it. That's kind of what it's like being an entrepreneur. You just figure it out as you go. So we had a few props, you know, the yellow clothes for the Mustard family and whatever. And so these are 8th graders, mind you. That's a tough crowd, right? And so they all picked their parts. Somebody had to be the dog. Somebody had to be the mayor. Somebody had to be the president or whatever. And so they actually acted it out, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. They had a great time. They loved it. And they all sent me letters saying, oh my God, that was great. One kid said, this was the best day of school I've ever had in my life. So a lot of good testimonials on that one. And then for those of you like me who were all stuck on the April giraffe thing, of course, I had to write my version of the April the giraffe story. And I did put the giraffes on the cover just to make it easier, because for those of you who draw, giraffes are a little bit harder to draw. So that just makes it a little bit easier for the younger kids who want to do that. So this is the whole April adventure. And then V is for virus. Of course, we all been dealing with that. And so what I like about this is kind of an A through Z book. So there's the letter. And so what it is, and it talks in the front, it tells you what to do. But it basically, you can write down the things that you can do to help your community, to help your neighbors, to start with a P. And write it down and then draw a picture. I had one 5th grade teacher bought the book, and she said, hey, do you mind? Can I share this with my class? I said, sure. So if you're a teacher, like this V is for virus or any of these books, and if you want to copy these pages and hand them out to your classrooms, feel free to do that. Because again, I'm trying to help things. So there's that. And again, all the sales, the proceeds for all the sales of Kid Illustrated supports the Scooby van. You can buy these books on Sunday at the Twig if you're local, and then give them back to the Scooby van, or take them home and give them to your kids to color, or your godkids or grandkids or whatever. And then also we have a Amazon wish. The Scooby van has an Amazon wish list now. And on there is the big box of the graham cracker Scooby van bags, Scooby snack bags, and then the littler box of the gummy Scooby things. And so those are always on the wish list, because if anybody wants to go to our wish list and buy those and have them sent to us, we appreciate that, because those just get handed out to the kids in the community. And that does add up. I think that was one of our biggest expenses last year, besides gasoline, was Scooby snacks. And then also on the list, you'll see all of these Kid Illustrated books. And the reason those are out there on the Scooby van wish list is because we're wanting folks, if they don't mind, to buy the book, and it comes to us, and then we will keep them, and then we will give them to kids as reading rewards. And so the idea is to it all just kind of goes hand in hand. It's all about supporting the Scooby van. It's all about bringing the community together for literacy, getting the kids excited about reading, which they do. So it all just kind of works. So hopefully you guys we'll see you at the Twig, dress warm. I was thinking about wanting to have hot chocolate, but I don't know how to do that, so I may not be able to do that. So what else did I forget? So real quick, I wanted to thank our sponsors again. We've got Center of Advanced Wellness, 8723 Box Lane. Go to centerofadvancedwellness.com. Check that out if you don't have medical insurance. If you have beauty needs for facials and massages and all kinds of, a lot of healthy things actually that you can do there. Check that out as well. Let's see, I talked about that. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything. I wanted to make sure I told you how it's called. Okay, so to find Kid Illustrated online, go to kidillustrated.com. And then all of our social is Kid Illustrated, so that's easy. And then for the Scooby Van, for those of you who are interested, ScoobyVanSA.org, and all of our social media is Scooby Van SA, so that works there. And since I'm in the box, the Boxicologist brand is at Boxicologist. I'm the only one. So right now that's the Boxicologist brand. There is going to be an online store type of thing called Boxicology, but I'm the Boxicologist, so check that out. There's gonna be a lot of cool YouTube videos out there as well. So, and we also want to thank, real quick, I don't want to be remiss, I don't want to forget to thank My Travel Vibes apparel for our logo merch. I don't have any on. It's too cold today to wear a t-shirt, so I've got my NASA hoodie on. This is my shout out to NASA for everything they've been doing with the James Webb Space Telescope. For those of you who are following along, it's just amazing. So yay, NASA. And then also Pogo Pass. Yay, Pogo Pass. So for those of you who don't know, pay attention. Pogo Pass, if you go to pogopass.com, there's 5 different cards that you'll see there. It's like a city go pass. You know, you buy the card for one price and then you get to go to all these places. Well, with Pogo Pass, for those in San Antonio, it's the Central Texas Pass. And you can get into locations in San Antonio, Austin, and Waco. And it's like the zoo, the Whitty Museum, the Incredible Pizza Place, mini golf, laser tag, all of those, the Buckhorn Saloon, all of those kind of places. Did I say the zoo? In case I didn't say the zoo. So you pay, if you go to pogopass.com and then you use the code Scooby Van in order to get the discount, it's $39.98. So basically $40 for the pass. Now you have to have one for each person in the family, but that's still compared to some other things. I had one family say they spent $800 on a venue who shall remain nameless to get in there. And I thought, wow, that's really crazy expensive. But I understand why it has to be that much, but that's just crazy. And that's for one venue. So you pay the $40 and then you just go and you got a year to use the pass. And it doesn't actually start, the clock doesn't start ticking until you actually go to the first location and scan the barcode on your app on your phone. Once you do that, then the clock starts ticking and then you have a year. So you could actually buy a Pogo Pass gift card for somebody. They can sit on it for an entire year, one day less than a year. I think it expires after a year. The gift card does. And then you cash that in for the Pogo Pass, and then you don't even have to activate that for another year. So actually it works really well because some folks during the pandemic were like, why am I going to buy a Pogo Pass? I can't go anywhere and it's just going to expire. And it doesn't. So don't worry about that. And so, of course, you know, things are right now might be slowing down a little bit, but when things open back up again, you're going to want to take your family somewhere. So that's the Central Texas Pass. There's one for Fort Worth, Dallas. So if you plan on going there, there's one for Kansas City. There's one for Phoenix. And then there's one for Vegas, which is great for the Vegas one. Because if you're planning on going to Vegas for vacation, you want to go ahead and go to pogopass.com, click on that Las Vegas Pass, and then type in Scooby Van as the code to get your 20% off. And so you'll be $39.98. So can't stress that enough, because when we're out in the schools and we're giving books to the kids, you know, we know some of them don't have books at home. Hopefully their parents might take them somewhere at least once during the summer. So if a family who's struggling or doesn't have a lot of extra income, which a lot of us are, then if you get the Pogo Pass, you're actually saving lots of money. So I can't stress that enough. So consider getting the Pogo Pass because you'll save a lot of money at the end of the day. And so I think I just did it in time because here's somebody here coming to visit. Oh, what do you want? Come here. So Kiwi came to visit. So say hi. Anyway, how much time? Oh, I didn't take too long. I guess I must have talked pretty fast. So hopefully that's okay. Appreciate you all hanging in there. For those of you who are going to watch it later, appreciate you tuning in. If I forgot to say anything, if you have any other questions, she's drinking my coffee. Don't do that, honey. That's not good for you. Questions, if I didn't go through and explain stuff in detail, please just leave us some comments and we'll be happy to go back and answer those comments and questions that you have for us. So with that, Kiwi and I are going to say adios. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week, same time, 12 o'clock on our Facebook Live on our show. Talk to you later. Hope to see you Sunday. Bye.